So this video is going to be made to show you the Potensic D80 and primarily how to set it up to fly. For those who haven't flown a similar drone before, just got it and want to take it out of the box and take it up in the air, and have read the instructions and maybe they weren't crystal clear. I don't have a tremendous amount of experience with drones. I have owned one other drone in the past, the SEMA X5, which was pretty much no features, just controls. And recently I saw another one that had several controls that mine did not. And I thought, okay, and technology has moved along. The one I had several years ago was just your basic flying drone with no features. So I looked online, found this one for $200 and a lot of great features. So I bought it, took it out of the box and plugged in the battery, charged it, put the battery in the drone, went to fly it, and it wouldn't fly. So the instructions did say what I'm about to show you, but it wasn't crystal clear. So I decided to make a video showing step-by-step what to do with this D80, which is also I've seen it called a Bugs 2 clone, to get it ready to fly for someone who may have just gotten it and has gone through the same thing I did. So there's going to be 4 main steps that you have to do, and you have to do these every time you plug in the battery. I'm going to show it to you slowly as I talk about each step, and then I'm going to go through and do it again at the normal speed that I do it whenever I fly it, and you'll see that it's actually not that bad. It's pretty quick and it doesn't take very much time at all. The first step I'll show you is to be able to pair the drone with the controller, and then you have to calibrate the geomagnetic compass by spinning this around. I'll show that. You can then calibrate the gyroscope inside. That's probably the simplest of all. And then I'll show you how to make sure you have enough satellites connected, because this is a GPS system. It's got dual GPS, which is great. And I'll show you all 4 of those things, and once you've done all 4 of those, then you're good to fly. So before you do any of that, obviously you'll have to plug the battery into the drone. When you first get it, it comes without a charge, or that I could tell. I didn't want to risk it, so I went ahead and plugged it into charge. Charges for about 5 hours on a flight, and the flight lasts about 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how much you're doing with it. So this connection is what you'll plug into the charger, and make sure it's in the right direction. It's not upside down when you plug it in. It's pretty clear. These 2 little lines, I believe, go in the top. So that's what charges it, and then once it's charged, then you'll tuck this back under here, and these 2 connections there are what connect the battery to the drone. So you can see that they connect up there, and it just slides in. So the plug for the battery gets in the way when you try to plug the battery into the drone, unless you tuck it under here. I believe that's what that's for. So I'll plug in first, and then push the wires gently in, and that keeps it out of the way. And then it just slides in. And when you push it all the way in, you'll hear it beep. It's very important that you lock the battery. And I say this from experience, having knocked this into the side of the house on accident, and the battery fell out. I just did that one time. So once it's in, you can see the blinking lights there, and it tells you that it's ready to pair with the controller. Flash blinking lights mean it's ready to pair. So turn on your controller, 4 AA batteries in it, and that double beep means that it's paired. So now those patterns of blinking lights, slow green front and back, means that you are ready to calibrate the geomagnetic compass. It's important that you have done the pairing on a level surface. If you hold the drone in your hand, it probably will not pair. So now to calibrate the geomagnetic compass, you spin this in 2 different dimensions. And the first one you spin it level, mostly level, and just go around, it says up to 3 times. And if you look at the color of the blinking lights, they should change. So I'm going to spin it 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And now you turn the camera straight up, and you turn this one 3 times, although it's only never needed 2. So see the pattern. So I'm going to start spinning. 1, 2, and it took 2 turns. So now they're not blinking. The front lights are red, the back lights are green, and it's almost ready to fly. 2 more easy steps. So like I said earlier, this step is the easiest of all of them, is to calibrate the gyroscope. And how you do that is you take both levers to the bottom left, and you can see what happens to the colors, to the lights when I do that. So bottom left, and they flash rapidly, and then that's done. So in doing all of this, on the controller, you can see right here I've got 13 satellites connected. You want to have at least 7. So because I have 13, that's step 4, to make sure you have 13. If you don't see any, make sure that this switch is to the right on the B selection. And that's the satellite. Make sure that that's on. You can fly it without satellites, turn that off, but there's some features that you will not have, such as return to home. It's just easier to use it with the satellites. I have found that when I don't have satellites by this step, and like I said, it generally takes not very much time to do all this, and by the time I get to the last step, I don't have satellites. You can either wait just a few moments and you'll get the connection, or you can fly it up about 10 feet and then set it back down, and just within a short time it will connect to enough satellites. So having done all of that step by step, I'm going to do it in the amount of time that it takes once you're used to it and you're ready to fly, to show you that it doesn't take all that long. So let's see how long it does take. So you put the battery in, lock it, level surface, turn it on, wait for 2 beeps. There it goes. And then pick this up and spin it 3 times. 1, 2, 3, and then turn it camera up and spin it 1, 2, and it's ready. Lights will change, and then down to the left. And I get the rapid flashing. I've got 15 satellites. I'm ready to fly. That quick. So before I take this out to fly it, I want to go over the controller, a couple things. First, the display. So there are several things on here that you can pay attention to. Like I said before, the number of satellites is shown here. 13 satellites connected right now. This is the height and distance that the drone is from the controller. That will come to be very important when you're trying to gauge where it is, how far away you've gone, what you might be over, and so on. Right now we're on mode 2, which has to do with which lever does what. So right now this one is up and down and spins, and this one is leaning in the direction to move. If I go into mode 1, then those switch. It just depends on what you're used to. These are the battery levels of the transmitter and the receiver being the drone, transmitter being this remote controller. The receiver will go down from 4 bars to 3. When it gets to 2, this controller will start beeping at you slowly. When you get down to 1, it beeps at you much faster, and depending on how far away the drone is, it may initiate the return to home. This is the signal strength that it gets from the drone. This is the return to home button when you're flying. If you have satellite connection when you take off, then it will mark automatically that position as home. And when you're flying, at any time you can push this button and the drone will lift up if it's not very high, and I'm not sure what the altitudes are, but if it is very high, it doesn't lift higher. But first it does is return straight overhead so that the distance is 0, and then it slowly descends until the height is 0, and it lands itself and turns off. It's a great feature. If this gets away from you, you're flying it too far away, it's easy to get this out of sight in the sky. You can't see it or hear it, and you can look at this and you can see that it's maintaining altitude. You know, it hasn't crashed, it's just gone. You can pair this with a phone, and I'll show you that probably in another video. This switch here turns it into headless mode, meaning that in the left or the A selection, when you're moving it, this will make it go forward and backwards, forward being where the camera is and backwards being the other way. Whereas if you switch it onto the B selection and it's headless mode, then this is towards you and this is away from you, and really no matter which way the drone has spun around. Very helpful in some situations, especially when it's so far away that you can't tell which way it's oriented easily, and to get it back or to fly where you want to fly. It's not something I've practiced a lot with. To start flying, the first thing we're going to do is push the red lock button, which is going to unlock it, and it will start the propeller spinning. And then we'll push this button, which will elevate it about 6 feet, 5 feet in the air. It'll take off automatically and just hover, and then we can start flying. That button will also land it when you get close, land it automatically. Okay, I'm outside and I'm ready to fly. So again, the first thing I'm going to do is hit the unlock button, and it starts it spinning. And then I'm going to push the lift button, lift off, and it just raises up and hovers. It's a little windy out here, and because of the GPS lock, it's able to hover pretty much in the same position. I haven't even touched the control yet. That's hovering on its own. And right now it's hovering about 4 to 5 feet. So I'm going to lift it up by using the left button, raise the altitude, left lever, and then using the right lever I can fly it forward. So you're able to fly your drone with not that many startup steps. So I'm going to fly this a little higher in altitude. I don't even know if you can see it on the video anymore. And I'm letting go, and it's just going to hover right there. Zoom in, and it's just hovering. And it's just hovering. I'm not touching any of the controls to maintain, it's just hovering. But what I am going to do now is return to home. So this button here, it's going to press it. Before I do it, I want to see that the height is 27 meters, the distance is 19 meters. And again, because of the geosatellite connection, GPS, it is able to maintain its position and pretty good winds. I can't imagine how windy it is up there, but it's kind of windy here. So if I push return to home, then you can see first thing it's going to do is bring the drone straight overhead. And it's still hovering at 27 meters, and now it's starting to, well, it looked like it was starting to. Now it's starting to come down. Coming down slowly. I'm not doing any of this. This is all automatic. And it's going to return roughly to where it took off from. Again, I'm doing nothing. I'm just holding it. And it stopped. 0 height, 0 distance. One more demonstration of the return to home. I'm going to take it up and send it over to the other cul-de-sac, the other end. I'm not going to land it because that would reset the home position, but I am going to hover it. See if I can zoom in. It's in front of that house. So it is hovering near that mailbox. So now I'm going to press return to home and touch nothing else on the controller. So there it is. Push the button and it automatically lifts up, straight up in the air to a height of 14 meters. And now it's flying back. That little H symbol signifies it is returning to home. Now it's directly overhead from where it took off. And once again it's going to hover for a few moments. Now it's descending. Again, not touching anything control-wise. It's doing all this. So the fact that it gained altitude to about 15 meters before flying back probably will let it go over street signs and some trees. Not all trees, there are plenty of much taller pine trees around. So if you're flying way high, the return to home works great. If you're flying low, be aware of what might be between you and it. I did show the unlock button started the rotors. There's another option that I just wanted to point to here. Hard to do without a mount for my camera, but if you put both levers down into the middle, same function. That's cool how that one rotor seems to be sitting there and the other is spinning slowly, but that's just the way that the camera works. You saw it shut off. That was not me. If you do unlock it and it starts up and you don't do anything, I'm not going to touch any of the controllers. It doesn't spin the batteries down waiting for you. After just 10 or 15 seconds, it stops. Once the receiver gets down to 2 bars, it starts with this slow 3 beep. That's just a reminder that you're getting low. Nothing's happening yet. You can keep flying. It's just a reminder. It is annoying though, but you can keep flying. I've got it kind of high and pretty far away, and it just went into return to home automatically. The battery level on the receiver dropped to 1, and you can see again it's doing the automatic return to home, and I did not initiate that. So if you're out flying it and the battery in the drone gets too low, it comes home, provided you have the GPS lock. So it's flown straight overhead and is now descending. When it gets in this automatic return to home for low battery, you cannot do anything about it. You can't stop it. Normally when you do a return to home, if you let it get out of sight and you want to bring it back, once you get it close to you, you can then hit the return to home button again and regain control. But right now, there's nothing I can do. It would not give me back control. So there it is landing, not doing anything. So that was a total of about 20 minutes flight time. With your kit, you got one of these things, which is just a phone holder, and it fits into the top of your controller. And it can be used to hold your phone. The phone goes in there, and this extends out to squeeze it. So you can do first person view. That's what FPV stands for, which is great. I'm going to cover that in another video, and when I make it, I'll put a link below in the description. Also, you might need to get a little micro SD card. This one's 8 gigabytes. I believe the drone supports up to 32. But if you're like me, once you record some video, you want to move it off of this onto your computer to look at it and edit it or delete it, whatever. So I don't think I'll ever get 8 gigabytes worth of anything on this from the drone. So that's it, and I hope this helped. If it did, please leave me a comment below. If you want to see anything specific, leave me a comment and ask. Thanks.